Hi, welcome to Street Priest Ministries. I'm your host, Brother Jay. We're taking the gospel back to the streets. Today's drive-through message is prayer in the belly of hell. Jonah. How many of you prayed in the belly of hell? Raise your hand. And what I mean by that is a prayer made in a place that's so dark. It seems so hopeless. It seems so alone. And you feel alone. And no one can help you. Feel that God is from here to the distance of the sun for His answering your prayer. And this is what we're going to discuss now. There's people out there that's pretty much in the belly of the hell itself, regarding medical issues, financial issues, family issues, a myriad of issues, where you feel, and you've been in this state for a long time. This is one of these long, deep valleys. It could be a marriage. It could be a child facing it, or a child's sickness. It could be a myriad of issues where all hope seems lost. Well, this message is for you today. And you're going to learn a few things, hopefully, about prayer. Now, I've taught on prayer, I believe, 2 or 3 times. I've lost count. I know one is titled The Power of Prayer. Now, I'm not one of those that teach God's a genie in a bottle. He's going to respond to our every whim. No, He's not. In God's sovereign, in His sovereign decision-making over our life, when you come to Him, you no longer belong to yourself if you're a Christian. You've heard me teach that a million times, you that follow Street Priest. We're called doulos, slaves for God. I know it's an unpopular word, no one likes it. That's just the reality of the translation. The Greek word is slave. And you're bought and paid for a price. Now you could be a slave to Satan, the world, flesh, and the devil. It's all going to hell. Or you can slave for God. But when you come to Him, you recognize His sovereignty. You recognize that He's the big boss. He has say-so in your life. Now, many of you having issues with that. If God is up there, why am I going through this and suffering this and going through that? That's part of His sovereign will. Something you need to understand. Now Satan will get on your shoulder and play that violin. Woe is me. I call it the woe is me song. That's what he plays. He wants to get you alienated from God through self-pity. Woe is me. Put you in a slough of despair, of depression. This is for you that's going through this to know how to combat Satan when you're going through this valley, through this, when you're in the belly of this hell of yours. To reach up through faith and prayer in God's Word. Now this is something that you're going to learn today. Oh, now we're going to start out with Jonah himself. Now I've taught on Jonah several times. You get to teach it. Hell no, I won't go as one story of Jonah. You can get that for yourself. Now, Jonah ministry parallels Christ's ministry. Christ said, as Jonah was in the belly of the whale 3 days and 3 nights, so will I be in the heart of the earth. I think that's pretty high cotton if you pay attention to Jonah. Jonah was also a witness because the Jews was in diaspora at the time and turned their back on God. And that would happen with Christ as well. Diaspora, they were dispersed among the nations, just like it was in Jonah's day. And he became a witness to the Gentile nation, the same as Christ. Because they rejected the message. Now, Nineveh, whom Jonah was witnessing to, repented. That's the irony. God said, I'm going to wipe you out. And they said, yes, sir. The king got off his throne, put sackcloth and ashes on the whole nation to repent. Had mourning and fasting. And God changed his mind by wiping them out. Unlike Israel, they didn't repent. That's the irony. And so here's Jonah sent to this nation. Now Jonah, it'd be like sending a Jewish rabbi to Nazi Germany during the height of Hitler's reign, telling the nation of fascist socialist Germany to repent. So you can see why he wasn't happy about the mission. Jonah tried to run from God. Just need a backdrop. For those that don't know this story or read the Bible like that, just fill you in on that. Jonah tried to run from God. So God created a special fish to swallow Jonah up. After the men of the ship threw Jonah in the sea, because God sent a storm after Jonah first. Then he was thrown into the sea, raging waves, and the fish swallowed him. That's just a quick synopsis of what happened. So now he's in the belly of this special fish God created. I believe the fish was translucent, see-through. I believe it was a see-through fish, like a jellyfish, but a giant whale of a jellyfish. God said, in the book it said he specially created this fish. So this fish was a one-time fish. Now, Jonah's in the belly of this translucent fish, seeing everything, going to the bottom, and I believe Jonah went to the depths to where the gates of hell was. He seen hell because he was so terrified. You'll read it later, but he was terrified about this trip, so I think it was a little bit more than him just being beside him. It's bad enough being in the belly of anything. Much less something to see through. Jonah's God made a living, breathing mammal submarine for him. That's bad enough. But you can see everything, and I believe he saw the gates of hell. Now let's listen to his prayer in the belly of hell. Did Jonah pray unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly? So we clear he's in the belly. Oh, this is Jonah, by the way, chapter 2, verse 1. And said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me out of the belly of hell. Cried I. That's why I titled this. And thou heardest my voice, for thou hast cast me into the deep, in the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me. All thy billows and thy waves passed me over. See? That's bad enough. And then get swallowed on top of it. Threw out the ship in the middle of a storm, and now he's swallowed. I don't think some of you in that kind of predicament are you? Then I said, I am cast out of thy sight, yet I will look again toward thy holy temple. The waters compass me about, even to the soul. The depth closed knee around about. The weeds were wrapped about my head. I went down. Now this is inside this fish. He's experiencing this. This fish's belly, the belly of hell. I went down to the bottoms of the mountains. The earth with her bars was about me forever. Yet hast thou brought my life up from corruption. He said this was like death. O Lord, my God. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord. Remember this, pay close attention. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came in unto thee. He started to pray, turn to God. He got focused on God in the belly of hell. And I suggest you do. Focus on God in your situation and pray to Him. Talk to Him. I got another one. One I just did, praise Him in the wilderness. Praise Him in your head. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came in unto thee, into thine holy temple. They that observe lying vanities forsake their own glory, their own mercy. Excuse me. But I will sacrifice unto thee with a voice of thanksgiving. Praise. Praise Him in your head. Pray to Him in your head. Turn to Him in your head. Turn to His word in your head. Remember His word in your head. In the belly of hell. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. Return. Remember, you're a Christian. Return to your commitments in the Lord. Stop backsliding. Because you're going through something. But I will sacrifice unto thee the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. And the Lord spake unto the fish, and it had vomited out Jonah out on dry land. See, God delivered him. I mean, not a smooth way to go if you would have listened to God in the first place, when God ordered him to go to Nineveh, Assyria, capital of Assyria, and preach to those pagans and heathens to repent, because God, their evil had reached the throne of heaven. God was going to wipe them out, their lawlessness. See, God's still a boss, and He's still judging His earth. And evildoers find out, especially if they get to the next life, that haven't repented, who the boss really is. They got a hell waiting for them. Been there, and then believe me, it's there. They have no intentions to go back. It's a one-time trip for Brother Jay. Now, Jonah got it right. God he started over after the whale vomited him out, and he went to preach to that nation. That's not what this is about. We're moving on. We're talking about, we'll see somebody else that's in the belly of hell, and him praying. So we're going to go, now you got to see Jonah. And I don't know what, see, it might not be necessarily your fault. You're in your belly, you're in the belly of hell, but it could be. It could be God's trying to get your attention. For some of it. The Bible says, all we like sheep are turned astray. We turn every man our own way. Isaiah 53:6. And God might put you in a situation to get your attention, to get you to focus on Him and His Word. I'm just saying. Or it could be you put yourself in the belly of hell. Something you did. Something you caused. Whatever it may be. Your fault, not your fault. Focus on God's Word. In the belly of hell. Pray. In the belly of hell. Praise in the belly of hell. Alright. Moving on. Somebody else. We're going to go to Daniel 6:7. Now Daniel is one of my favorite people in the Old Testament. Moses would be number one, Elijah number two, Daniel. We'll probably pick up that third where David, we're going to throw him in there too. I love King David. It'd be a toss-up between those two. But the reason I like Daniel, because Daniel's steady as a rock. And not unwavering through 3 kingdoms, serving God faithfully since he was a child. Now, he got a very good record as far as I'm concerned. Now, I've backslid several times. I wish I could, but Daniel in the Old Testament would be the mark for me for his steady as a rock consistency in faith and servitude of God. That's why I strive to be. No, I'm not there. I told you guys follow Street Priest several times. Don't look for me to have a cape, being a superhero of faith. I'm not. I have my ups and downs. I put my pants laid on one leg at a time like everybody else. But certain characters in the Bible just stand out to where I like to be like this person. For a bedrock of faith. And this is one right here, Daniel. Okay, so we're going to turn to Daniel 6:7. Now, all the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute, to make a firm decree, and whosoever asks a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing. Now, this is Daniel's enemies setting a trap because they know he prays to God 3 times a day. And so they set a trap. His haters. This is part of his court. Daniel's in the king's court, an advisor to the king. He's one of the Magi, one of the wise men. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled down upon his knees 3 times a day. See, prayed 3 times a day. Discipline. The word for discipline in the Bible is a word where we get the word disciple from. Jesus said, you'll be my disciples. Disciple, discipline. Most Christians are very undisciplined. The best Christians, I said a million times, those that's been in the military, former Catholics, and even Muslims, make good Christians. They know how to follow orders. Most of the ones born and bred Christianity are the worst Christians, the worst listeners, the most undisciplined, and the most, give them a teaching. Too many babes in the church, babe talk, the biggest babe. 40 years in the church and still a babe talk. Haven't grown on to maturity in the faith. Still, you gotta give them a teaching. That's not the subject. Don't get me started. And you see the discipline he had. Pray 3 times a day. No, I'm not there. And prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying, making supplication before God. Now remember, he didn't close his window. He went out there on his loft, the balcony, whatever it was, so everybody could see. He wasn't hiding. That decree wasn't going to change his relationship with God. See, when you're a Christian and the government says you can't do something that interferes with your faith to God, that's when you break their laws. If they pass the law tomorrow saying you can't carry a Bible down the street, Brother J be the first out the door in the morning with a Bible to carry it down the street. We follow the laws up to a certain point till it interferes with our faith. God's laws trumps man's law. Our worship of him trumps anything man's talking. Jesus said, Peter and Paul said, should we obey men or obey God when they told him, the law told you to shut up? They wouldn't. They were thrown in prison because of it. It's when you have civil disobedience and it interferes between you and your God and him. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying, making supplication before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man, or hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. He's in the Medo-Persian Empire, Daniel. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, like he's a thing, that Daniel, which is of the children of captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he had heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart as to Daniel to deliver him. He didn't want to execute Daniel. The penalty was death for violating the king's order in those days. That's the death penalty. And he already had stated this, made it law, that there was be no worship for 3 days except on his word. And now, Daniel has to be executed. He's trying to find a loophole in the law to get around it. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel, and cast him into the den of lions. Now Daniel's in this lion's den. How many of you are in the lion's den? Raise your hand. Facing lions right now? You ain't in the belly of a fish, are you? Are you in the lion's den? So these circumstances are pretty grave, I would say. This is really life and death here. Then these men, then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him. This is Daniel chapter 6:16. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. King had some faith there in the God of Daniel. And a stone was brought and laid up on the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, and the purpose might be not changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said unto Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel. Pay close attention. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocency was found in me. He said, I'm innocent. And also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. I'm guiltless. I'm innocent. I didn't deserve to be thrown the death penalty for praying. Then the king was exceedingly glad for him and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. So they hoisted him up out of him. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den. Let's see if their God, whom they serve, will deliver them. They cast them into the den of lions, and their children. Children got to be eaten too. And their wives. Wives get it too. And the lions had mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came to the bottom of the den. So before they hit the floor, they were eaten up. The lions gobbled them up before they could even touch the floor. They starved them lions, by the way, just for this special task. So them lions are very hungry. By the time you hit that den, they throw you in there. It was curtains for you. All right. Now we got to see Daniel be delivered from a type of hell situation. Moving on. Go to Acts 27:14. Acts 27:14. Cry to God out, cry out to God in prayer. Focus on His word. Praise Him in the belly of hell. In the belly of your hell is your particular hell. And He will deliver you. The Bible said there's no temptation that we're going through, but God hasn't provided a way of escape. It's up to us to find an escape through His word, and He will unlock the door to whatever our situation is and free us, or to open a window. You got to go out through a window. All right, Acts 27:14. Now this is another hell here. But not long after there arose, this is Paul. And Paul is a prisoner on a ship headed for Rome to face Caesar. But not long after there arose against him a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon. And when the ship was caught and could not bear up, he's facing a tornado at sea. And when the ship was caught and could not bear up into the wind, yet let her drive, and running under a certain island, which is called Clauda, we had much work to come by the boat. And when they had taken up, they used helps undergirding the ship, and fearing that they should fall into quicksands, strake sail, and so were driven. And we being exceedingly tossed with a tempest, the next day they lightened the ship. To lighten the ship, cargo, I think it's called flotsam. To throw humans overboard is called jetsam. I'm not sure. I think I'm close. And the third day they were cast out with their own hands, the tackling of the ship. And when neither sun, no stars, in many days, so put yourself in the place of Paul on this ship at sea, storm, tornado-like winds, at sea, darkness, they being tossed about. When you say that's type of belly of hell right there, nothing worse than being on a boat at sea. I don't really do the sea much. I've been on the sea quite a few times in our earlier days. as of late. It's been a long time. You're helpless at sea in a storm. You feel helpless just on a nice sunny day. When I used to go out at sea. And don't let the waves get to rocking the boat. Now he's in a storm and they're rocking the boat. And when neither sun nor stars in many days appeared, and no small tempest, so they ain't seen no sun, no stars, nothing but darkness. No small tempest lay on us. All hope that we should be saved was then taken away. All hope was lost. They thought they was going to die out there at sea, and rightfully so. But after a long abstinence, Paul stood forth in the midst of them and said, Paul went away to pray, I guarantee. But after a long abstinence, Paul stood forth in the midst of them and said, Sirs, we should have hearkened unto me. Paul told them not to take the voyage in the first place. There's going to be a storm. And not have loosed from Crete, and to have gained the harm and no loss. And now I exhort you to be of good cheer, for there should be no loss of any man's life among you, but of the ship. So the ship is going to be wrecked, destroyed, but everybody's going to live. That's on this boat. It's on the ship. For there stood by me this night the angel of God came in his hopeless situation, in his belly of hell. And they're all facing death, and God sent an angel. The angel God, who I am and whom I serve. That's who we serve. A mighty God that can deliver us from our belly of the hell we're in. Out of the belly of hell that we're in. Our mighty God. When all hope was lost.